Hello everyone and welcome back to our Indirect Taxes Revision series. How are you all? I hope everything going great. And our today's target is to complete place of supply payment of taxes TDS and TCS. So let's just quickly proceed further. Am I live? Audio, video, everything clear? Just give me a thumbs up. Shall we start everyone? Yes ma'am, all set. Chalo. So let us start. Now starting with the chapter place of supply. Place of supply, all the sections here are IGST Act. Now in entire syllabus, whenever otherwise mentioned, we always study CGST Act, all the sections of CGST Act only. But place of supply particularly is entire IGST Act. Now from IGST Act, section 5 charging section we've already completed with the chapter charge of GST. Then section 7, 8, 9 also completed in charge of GST. 7 was interstate supply, 8 was intrastate supply and 9 was territorial waters of India. That if the supplier and the place of supply are in same state, same UT, then intrastate, different state, different UT, then it becomes interstate. In case of territorial waters of India, you have to deemed assume at the nearest coastal state or UT. Import and export are always considered as interstate only. All of these things we had already completed in the chapter of charge of GST. Now, today's target is to wind up section 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 14A of IGST Act. These sections help us determine the place of supply. Ma'am, why do we even need to determine the place of supply? What is its importance? Very simple. The state which becomes place of supply becomes the jurisdiction where the tax revenue accrues. So, the ideal principle is that always the place of consumption, the place of destination becomes the place of supply, which means if the goods are going from Gujarat to Maharashtra, then in that case Maharashtra being destination, Maharashtra being the place of consumption becomes the place of supply. How to remember the section numbers? Section 10 and 11 are for goods. Section 10 and 11 help us to determine place of supply for goods. Section 12 and 13 help us to determine place of supply for services. Section 14 is online information database access retrieval services. 14A is online money gaming. Now, in case of 10, 11 goods, 11 is import and export. We can say international. 10 is other than import export. So very simple to remember. 10 is domestic goods, 11 is international goods. So other than import export, import export. Then again 12 is domestic services, 13 is international services. But what is the law language? We will say that recipient and supplier both are in India only. And here either supplier or recipient, someone is outside India. Then we apply section 13 to determine place of supply for services. So this is how you remember section number. 10, 11, domestic goods, international goods. 12, 13, domestic services, international services. 14, OIDAR, 14A, online money gaming. But we do not actually write the words domestic or international, we write import export, other than import export for goods, and supplier recipient both in India for services, one of them, either of them outside India. Then it applies section 13, services. This is how we remember the section numbers. Now, let us quickly start with section 11 of IGST Act. Place of supply for goods imported into or exported from India. Very simple. If you import the goods, where are you going to consume the goods? In India. So simply the location of importer is going to become the place of supply. When I am exporting the goods, the place outside India where the goods are going, of course that place becomes the place of supply. Exports are always considered as zero rated only. And we know according to section 7 and 8 also, that import and export are always considered as interstate only. So, chalo everyone with me in the comment section. Very simple. Section 11. Import of goods if you do, then place of supply is location of importer. Export of goods if you do, then place of supply is the location outside India where you are sending the goods. Then one section over. Then moving on to section 10 of IGST Act. C. Section 10 of IGST Act, very simple. If the goods are involving movement, let's say goods are going from Gujarat to Maharashtra. So the destination, the place where the movement terminates, the destination of the goods only becomes the place of supply. Very simple. So if going from Gujarat to Maharashtra, Maharashtra is going to become the place of supply. Second, if they are not involving movement, we say if not involving movement, then simply wherever you are giving the delivery, that only becomes the place of supply. So whatever is, we say if the goods involve movement, then destination of goods. If it does not involve movement, then where I am giving the delivery, that location becomes the place of supply. Correct. But notwithstanding both of them, let us say movement involved, not involved, forget that. If you are supplying goods to an unregistered person, why particularly unregistered person? Because registered person always gives his GST number, so that becomes place of supply. That's not a problem at all. But if we are supplying goods to an unregistered person, let us say I have a mobile shop. A person comes to me, purchases a mobile, he is unregistered. Now normally wherever I am giving him the delivery, that would only become the place of supply. Very simple. But if that unregistered person opts to tell his address, let us say I am from Gujarat, but that unregistered person comes to me and says that I am from Rajasthan. I am purchasing this mobile and I am going to take this mobile to Rajasthan and then I will consume it there. Then in that case, Rajasthan becomes the place of supply. So whenever such over-the-counter supplies are made and the recipient, being an unregistered person, gives his address. Now address doesn't mean you need full address. Even if he is only giving his state name, that is also deemed as full address, that is fine. So if the unregistered person gives his address, then his address becomes place of supply. If no, then ultimate option, so we always have that location of supplier only becomes the place of supply. I am giving the mobile in Gujarat, so Gujarat will become my place of supply. So simply we say notwithstanding A or C, if you are making supply to an unregistered person, then in that case we say that address of a person recorded in the invoice. If that person tells you his address, you record that address in the invoice. State name is also okay, deemed as full address only. That becomes place of supply. If not applicable, then ultimately whatever is the location of supplier, that becomes the place of supply. Correct. Ma'am, what about bill to ship to model? Now understand, in bill to ship to model, let us say Mr. A sold the goods to Mr. B. So the billing is done to Mr. B. However, while the goods were being packed or something like that happened, Mr. B met Mr. C and sold the goods to Mr. C. Now in that case, Mr. B called Mr. A saying that what you do, you give the bill to me, but you directly ship the goods to Mr. C. Now in this case, what happens? This is a bill to ship to model where person A is the consignor, person C is the consignee who is receiving the goods. Who is person B? B is the original buyer. B is the original buyer who had actually purchased the goods, but he did not actually receive the goods. He told the supplier to send the goods to someone else. So billing is done to this person and shipping is done to this person. In that case, for this bill to ship to transaction, what is going to be the place of supply? We call that the place of supply is going to be the place of third person. Ma'am, who is the third person here? A is consignor and C is consignee. So the original buyer becomes the third person. The original buyer becomes the third person, and the original buyer in law language is known as the third person because we are talking from the point of view of consignor and consignee. So this is one bill to ship to model between A and B. The place of supply is going to be B's place. And then there is one second transaction happening between B and C where B has sold the goods to C, but the shipment is received from Mr. A. Then in that case, C's location ultimately becomes the place of supply where he is receiving the goods. Very simple. After that, if the goods are to be assembled or installed at a particular site, let us say I purchased an air conditioner. Now the person from the company will come at my office, install the AC and everything. Means this particular goods involves some assembly or installation. Then the place where such assembly or installation is carried out, that only becomes the place of supply. And if the goods are supplied on board a conveyance, let us say a flight is flying from Ahmedabad to Chennai. From Ahmedabad to Chennai, a flight is flying, and during transit I purchased some goods on the flight on board only. Then in that case, location where the goods were taken on board. So let us say when the flight was about to depart from airport A, we loaded the goods here only at airport A. Now in this case, for the entire journey, even if the flight is here, right above the Chennai airport, and still if you are purchasing goods from this flight, then also place of supply is going to be Ahmedabad only. Why? Because the goods were loaded on conveyance. The goods were taken on board on conveyance from Ahmedabad airport only. Done. Here we complete entire section 10. 2 sections out of 6 already completed. Section 10, section 11. Section 11 says import and export of goods, place of supply. Import के case, in the case of import, location of importer becomes place of supply. In the case of export, the place outside India where you are sending the goods becomes your place of supply. Section 10 is very simple. Other than import export. For other than import export, if goods are involving movement, the place where movement is terminating. If goods are not involving movement, wherever you are giving delivery. But you forget both the points. If you are making supply to an unregistered person and that person gives his address, then that becomes place of supply. Otherwise, last option to take supplier's location as the place of supply. In case of bill to ship to model, the location of the original buyer, the location of the third person from the point of view of consignor, consignee becomes the place of supply. If you have to do some assembly or installation any place, then the place where you are doing this assembly installation becomes your place of supply. And last point says that if the goods are taken on board on conveyance, then the place from where the goods are loaded on the conveyance, that becomes the place of supply. Quickly tell me, is it dil dil, aag aag, bomb bomb? Everyone, we are done with the place of supply for goods. Now let us start with the place of supply for services. A lot of students struggle in remembering place of supply for services. I have made some tricks so that you can understand and remember these provisions along with me right here, right now, today only. So we start with section number 12, which says that services, for the supply of services, supplier and recipient, if both are in India, supplier and recipient, if both are in India, then we determine place of supply according to section 12. First of all, the general provision. The general provision simply says that if you are making supply of services to a registered person, then simply that registered person will give his GST number, etc. So the location of this registered person only becomes the place of supply. But if such services provided to unregistered person, then what to do? We will ask about the address. Is that unregistered person giving us the address that where he is going to consume the services? If yes, address is available, then his address only becomes the place of supply. If address is not available, then what last option I have? Let's say I am providing teaching services. I don't know where the student is from. He is not giving his address. What last option I have? To take suppliers, my location only, as the place of supply. So this is the general rule, that if you are not falling under any exception given from section 12.3 to 12.14, if you are not falling under any exception, then generally you determine place of supply like this. If you are falling under some exception, then you determine the place of supply according to that exception. So general rule simply says, provided to RP, RP's location place of supply. Provided to URP, is he giving address? Yes, then that address is place of supply. Otherwise, supplier's location is the last option to take as place of supply. Then second point talks about services in relation to immovable property. Can you give me two examples of services in relation to immovable property? And plus this same provision also applies for accommodation in a hotel, boat or vessel. So if I am booking a hotel, boat, vessel to stay, or let's say there is some service in relation to immovable property. Example, construction service, brokerage service, interior decoration service, architect service, all of these services are related to an immovable property. Now in both of these cases we say wherever the property is, that only becomes the place of supply. So let us say Mr. A of Gujarat went to Goa and booked the resort in Goa. Now in this case, even though the recipient is from Gujarat, still the resort, the hotel is in Goa, so Goa only becomes the place of supply here. So any service in relation to immovable property or accommodation in a hotel, boat or vessel, the place of supply is the place where the property is located or intended to be located. But there is a catch here. Let us say supplier and recipient both are in India. I purchased a property in Paris. This is a property in Paris right in front of Eiffel Tower. Now I means Riddhi is from Gujarat. Let us say I hired Gauri Khan, Shah Rukh Khan's wife Gauri Khan. She runs D Decor. So I hired Gauri Khan from Maharashtra to do interior decoration of my Paris house. Now in this case, supplier who is Gauri, also from India, recipient who is me, also from India. Therefore, section 12 should only apply because both of us are from India, and according to section 12, the property is in Paris. So, will we call Paris as the place of supply? The answer is no. Now, here we will say that if the property is situated in India, then wherever the property is, that becomes place of supply. But if the property is situated outside India, in that case, recipient's location being Gujarat in our case is going to be the place of supply. So if in any situation the property is located, outside India, but supplier and recipient both in India, then last option to take as place of supply is going to be the location of recipient. Ma'am, what if the property is more than one state or UT? Let us say this is Gujarat Rajasthan border, this is Maharashtra Karnataka border, and a property is being constructed like this. 1/3 of the property is in this state and 2/3 of the property is in this state. What to do? No problem. Entire consideration will be apportioned into in 1:2 ka ratio, and this ways half place of supply will be this and the remaining place of supply is going to be the other state. Understood? Yes, ma'am. Then after that we move on to 5 particular services. We move on to 5 particular services for which place of supply is going to be the location where you perform the service. What do we say? See, क्यूटी की ब्यूटी पे दिल आया है. How we remember this? क्यूटी की ब्यूटी पे दिल आया है. See this cutie. Do you see this cutie? Yes. So you are in love with this cutie. Cutie की beauty पे you have fallen for the beauty of this cutie. So cutie की beauty पे दिल आया है. You want to take her on a date. You want to take her on a date. Let us say to a restaurant. So restaurant and catering is the next service. Beauty, restaurant and catering. But now you want to take this cutie beauty on a date, but you suddenly realize that you are a fatty. What to do? Now you will go to gym. You will first of all become fit, take care of your health, do some personal grooming, apply gel and all, and then you will go and ask out the cutie. So how to remember the 5 particular services? Cutie ki beauty pe dil aaya hai. We want to take her on a date, but we are jadiya, fatty. Therefore, first of all, we'll take care of the fitness, health services and personal grooming services. Right, and then for these particular services we say you forget where the supplier is from, you forget where the recipient is from, whether registered, unregistered, nothing matters. The place where the service is actually performed, becomes the place of supply. Say yes, everyone. Understood. But now connected to this is the training and performance appraisal service. See, for these 5 particular services, no RP, URP criteria, no registered, unregistered person criteria. Where you perform the service only becomes the place of supply. But for training and appraisal services, we say, if provided to registered person, then registered person's location is going to be the place of supply. If provided to unregistered person, then same provision saying that wherever you perform the service, that only becomes the place of supply. Are we understanding the difference? Yes, ma'am. What does this pair say? This pair of cutie, beauty and training. Cutie, beauty simply says that wherever you perform these services, it only becomes the place of supply. Let us say Deepika Padukone from Mumbai went to Indore to shoot a movie. For that, she hired a makeup artist from Delhi. Now, in this case, supplier is from Delhi, recipient is from Mumbai. But the service, the makeup is performed in Indore. No. So, Indore, Madhya Pradesh is going to be the place of supply. So, you forget whether the recipient is registered, unregistered, whatever it is. Always for these particular 5 services, wherever they are performed, that only becomes the place of supply. Correct. But for training and appraisal services, we say for training and appraisal services, if provided to URP, then same provision, wherever you actually perform becomes the place of supply. But if provided to registered person, then the location of registered person is going to be the place of supply. Correct, ma'am. After that, the next pair is admission and organization. Admission and organization. So, if you want to enter into some event, theme park, amusement park, whatever it is, you are basically taking services to enter at a premise. Tickets are being sold. So, admission services to any event, amusement park, other places, wherever you are taking entry, wherever that event is located, that only becomes the place of supply. Again, no RP, no URP criteria. Let us say you are booking tickets for a concert. So, wherever the concert is, that only becomes the place of supply. Forget where the recipient is from, forget where the supplier is from. So, place where the event is actually held, or the park or the place or the theme park, whatever it is, where it is actually held, becomes the place of supply. But connected to this is organization of events. See, there are 2 different things. Admission to event is simply purchasing ticket and entering the event. But organization of event is to organize, to sponsor any event, be it cultural, scientific, sporting event, conference fair, whatever it is. You are organizing that particular event. Selling ticket and organizing are 2 separate activities, right? So, for admission we simply say that wherever the premises, that only becomes the place of supply. But for organization, if provided to unregistered person, then wherever the event is held only becomes the place of supply. But for registered person, we say that the location of registered person is going to be the place of supply. Isn't this similar? Yes, ma'am. See, like the QT beauty services, wherever they are performed, that only becomes the place of supply. For admission also, wherever you are taking admission, that only becomes the place of supply. But for training and for organization, we say, if provided to RP, then RP's location will be place of supply. But if provided to URP, then the provision is same. Wherever actually held, wherever actually held. Correct, ma'am. But if the event is happening outside India, supply recipient both in India, then simply similar to the immovable property provision, that the location of recipient is going to become the place of supply. Then the next pair is goods transportation service and passenger transportation service. So very simple. For goods transport service, we say, if provided to a registered person, location of registered person is the place of supply. If provided to unregistered person, then the place where you are giving the goods to the transporter to transport them further, the place where I am handing over the goods, the place where the goods are handed over for further transportation, that place becomes the place of supply. So let us say, I want to transport this calculator. I want to transport this calculator from Gujarat to Maharashtra. Now in this case, for this calculator, the place of supply will be Maharashtra, because goods involving movement, termination Maharashtra, Maharashtra becomes place of supply for this calculator. Let us say calculator is for 3000. For 3000 calculator, we will say Maharashtra is the place of supply because I have sold the goods to Maharashtra, that is the termination, that is the destination. But to transport this calculator, I am from Gujarat. I went to a Gujarat transporter only. I went to a transporter in my local area. I handed over the calculator. I gave the calculator to him that please you transport this calculator, for which he charged 200 rupees from me. We are talking about this transportation service and not the goods calculator. Understood? Yes. So for this transportation service, we say place of supply will be Gujarat only for unregistered person, because I am handing over the goods for transportation in Gujarat only. If I am a registered person, then to simply I will give my GST number, and that location, the recipient's location, only becomes the place of supply. Similar provisions for passenger transportation service. This was goods transportation. Then we move on to passenger transportation service. Again, if passenger transportation service provided to registered person, location of registered person becomes the place of supply. If provided to unregistered person, see, goods I can hand over. No, I can hand over this calculator. I can give you this calculator that you please take this and transport further. Passenger I cannot hand over. Passenger is simply going to himself go and embark on the conveyance. So let us say, a bus is moving from Mumbai to Bangalore. A bus is going from Mumbai to Bangalore. Now in that case, I am embarking in the bus. I am onboarding the bus from where? From Mumbai. So Mumbai only becomes the place of supply for an unregistered person. For goods, we say where you hand over the goods. Now passenger you cannot hand over. No, you cannot hand over the passenger. So therefore passenger we say the place where the passenger is embarking, the place where the passenger basically is onboarding the conveyance, that becomes the place of supply. And always return journey will be treated as a separate journey only. Let us say I booked the tickets from Ahmedabad to Mumbai and Mumbai to Ahmedabad to and fro. Both the journeys will be separate journey. For the journey where I am embarking from Ahmedabad, Gujarat becomes the place of supply. For the return journey where I am embarking from Mumbai, Maharashtra becomes the place of supply. So always treat return journey as a separate journey even if you book the tickets together only. So for transportation of goods including mail courier, we say RP, location of RP, URP, place where you are handing over the goods for transportation. Passenger transport service, RP, location of RP, URP, because you cannot hand over the passenger, passenger can simply embark only. So that only becomes the place of supply. Let us say a simple pass is issued where the place of embarkation is not known. I have a pass, let us say I have a pass of particular XYZ travel company. Throughout India, from any bus, on any bus of that travel company, I can onboard. Now at the time of purchasing this right to passage, I was not sure about where I am going to board. Now what to do? In that case, if I give my, this is the general residuary case, that if the recipient gives address, take his address. If not available, then finally supplier's location only becomes the place of supply. Correct. If the services are supplied on board a conveyance, see, for goods we had seen that if the goods were supplied on board a conveyance, then the place from where you are loading the goods on the conveyance, that becomes the place of supply. Now services you cannot load, services you cannot see, no, services you can only feel. Now in that case we say, if the flight is flying from Ahmedabad to Mumbai, what is the first scheduled point of departure? the flight is departing from Ahmedabad. No. So for the entire journey, if any service is supplied on board Ahmedabad, Gujarat only remains the place of supply, because goods we load. So we take that place. Services we cannot load. So we simply say whatever is the first scheduled point of departure for entire journey, that only becomes the place of supply. Understood everyone? Yes, ma'am. Then we say telecommunication services. This is also very simple to remember. See, for telecommunication services, if it is a fixed line, cable, dish, antenna, anything like that, for this, you have a physical device, right? I have a physical dish, antenna, cable, line fixed. So the place where I am actually installing these devices, that becomes the place of supply. If it is a postpaid connection, postpaid mobile or internet recharge, in that case, of course, for postpaid, you always get a bill, no? So the billing address of recipient becomes the place of supply. These two very simple to remember. Fixed cable, you will see where it is fixed. That becomes the place of supply. Postpaid mobile, you receive the bill. Therefore, wherever you are receiving that bill, that becomes the place of supply. If it is a prepaid mobile or internet connection, there are two possibilities. For prepaid, what you can do is you can go to some small mobile repair shop, pan stop, grocery stores, where you can go and get your mobile recharge done. These all people are agents of the companies, right? Acting as agent for recharge purposes. If I get my prepaid mobile connection done, through these agents, then whatever is the address of agent, that becomes the place of supply. But if I directly pay the amount to the company, so directly to final subscriber, the company is paying the amount for the final subscriber is simply directly paying the amount to company. So the place where such amount is received, that only becomes the place of supply. But let us say, ma'am, I never gave physical payment. I simply did my online prepaid recharge. Let us say through Paytm or something like that, I did my online prepaid recharge, or there is any other case which is not covered here. Then the general point, if address of recipient available, take that. If address of recipient not available, take the location of supplier. This is the general point, that if any situation nothing happens, this we always have. Say yes or no, is it clear to everyone? Telecommunication services, fixed line cable wherever you install the device. Postpaid, you will receive the bill, therefore billing address. Prepaid, if supplied through agent, agent's place. If no, then wherever you are receiving the payment. But if the prepaid connections are done online, or there is any other case, then the residuary point saying that recipient's address available, take that. Not available, take the supplier's location. Correct. Then the next pair is banking, stockbroking, financial services. We say na baap pada na bhaiya sabse bada rupaiya. We say na baap pada na bhaiya sabse bada rupaiya. What does this mean, ma'am? Banking, financial and stockbroking services involve money. Now money makes no distinction. Money is simply money. So we say no RP, URP criteria for these money services. If it is banking, financial and stockbroking services, we treat everyone equally. Na baap pada na bhaiya, only money is important here. So we say, be it registered person, be it unregistered person. If address is available of that person, we take the address of recipient. If not available, we simply take location of supplier. There is no RP or URP criteria for banking, financial or stockbroking services in section number 12. Say yes or no, everyone. Understood, ma'am. But for insurance services, we say it is not possible only that the insurance company is not having your address, because always in the insurance policy, your address has to be mandatorily mentioned only. Therefore, for insurance services, no chance that address is not available. So the insurance services is provided to registered person's location becomes place of supply. If provided to unregistered person, still unregistered person's address becomes the place of supply, because address of every person in case of insurance will always be available. Correct. And the last point of section 12 says that if advertisement services are provided to CG, SG, LA or stat body, particularly, see, if I take advertisement service, let us say I want to run advertisement for Shuffle Batch, Power Batch, YouTube revisions. I am not government. So for me, this general provision will apply, right? If any general person is taking advertisement service, then the general provisions will apply. But particularly if government is availing advertisement services, government does a lot of advertisement in newspaper every day. You see the advertisement with respect to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or any PM Awas Yojana, or let us say any mission or any scheme. If the government is running, they give advertisements on TV, on newspaper, or they try to create awareness about various things. Government also does advertisement for tourism purposes, right? So in all of these cases, they use multiple modes to do advertisement, that too throughout India. So for them we say always and always they have to proportionately allocate the amount. Let us say government enters into contract with Times of India saying that every edition of Times of India should have an ad for Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Now in this case, every state where Times of India newspaper is running, how many editions are being sold? On the basis of that, we will apportion the entire amount that the consideration is for such advertisement. So for newspaper, we will say number of editions, utilities, number of consumers. If there are any hoardings, particularly how many hoardings are there in which state. Let's say advertisement on train, then the length of the track. If railway ticket, on railway ticket also you will see advertisement with respect to Ujjwal Bharat Mission and Swachh Bharat Mission and etc. So how many stations this ticket is going to cover. Based on that, we apportion the amount. So particularly for government advertisement, not general advertisement, only for government advertisements, the amount is going to be allocated on the basis of whatever the number of persons that advertisement is reaching. Say yes or no. Here we complete entire section 12. There is one clarification that we have to read. A question from this clarification also came in May 2024 examination. This is place of supply in case of supply of service in respect to advertising sector. Now understand there are two things. Let us say I want to advertise Safal batch. Our regular 110 hours batch, the Safal batch, I want to put this on a hoarding here. So this is, let us say, some in Mumbai. Let us say in Mumbai, this is Marines. Near Marines here, I want to put a board, a hoarding for Safal batch. Now there are two options available with me. Option number one, I directly take this hoarding on rent. I directly take this hoarding only on rent, this place only on rent, and then I put my banner poster on it. Now in this case, I am basically renting an immovable property because this hoarding is attached to land being an immovable property. If I am renting this immovable property, then it is a service in relation to immovable property. So wherever the hoarding is situated, which is Mumbai, Maharashtra, that will only become the place of supply. Option number two, let us say I am hiring an advertising agency. I paid the amount to an advertising agency. I told them, I want my advertisement to be there right in front of the Marines. Now it is the responsibility of the advertising company to go find a hoarding, take it on rent or purchase it and then put my advertisement. In that case, if I am taking services from the advertising agency, it is not covered anywhere in the exception. So the general provisions of 12(2) will apply, that my address becomes my place of supply. But if I am not doing this, I am directly taking the hoarding on rent, that is service in relation to immovable property. In that case, we say 12(3) applies and the location of this property becomes the place of supply. Bolo bolo, understood everyone? Yes, clear. So this is case 1 and case 2 for advertisement. Now moving on to section number 13. See what we have completed in place of supply. Section 10, other than import-export goods. Section 11, import-export goods. Section 12, services place of supply where the supplier and recipient both are in India only. And the last section to determine place of supply here is when the supplier and recipient, supplier or recipient, someone is outside India. The supplier or recipient, someone is outside India and the services are being performed. Then how to determine place of supply? This is section number 13. After finishing section 12, 13 will seem very simple to you. So let us see here. 13.2, place of supply generally. Again very simple. Now see, here either of the two person is outside India and the outside India person will never be registered in GST. Therefore, in any provision of section 13, you will not find RP URP criteria. There is simply no RP URP criteria in section 13 and hence it becomes very simple compared to section 12. So we say generally, if recipient's address available, take that. Not available, then supplier's location becomes the place of supply. This is the general provision. We know that. Then for any performance based services, be it on individual, be it on goods. So let us say, see, here we saw in section 12, we saw that for beauty services, wherever they are performed, that becomes the place of supply. But for training services, if RP ko provide karoge, then location of RP. For URP, we say the place where it is performed. But in case of section 13, because there is no RP URP criteria, so be it makeup, be it training, for everything always, wherever the service is actually performed, that only becomes the place of supply because there is no RP URP criteria. Then if we talk about any performance that is required to be done on goods, let us say I need to repair some goods or something like that. Then if the service requires physical presence, I need to physically go to the machine and then repair it. So wherever I am going and actually performing the service, that only becomes the place of supply. But let us say I did not actually go to that machine. I had some problem in my PC. A person from outside India, let us say, simply took the remote access of my PC. I gave him AnyDesk, I gave him TeamViewer, he corrected the problem and it was done. So he did not physically come here, from a remote location only. He serviced my goods here. Then in that case, we will still assume, what if he would have physically come, then where he would have come, where the goods are situated, that only becomes the place of supply. So if a person from USA comes to India to repair my goods, repairs the goods here in India, India becomes place of supply. If that person is remotely from there only taking access of my PC and repairing it, then also where the goods are situated in India, India will still become the place of supply. But there is one exception to this provision. Let us say there is a person in India. There is a person in India who is importing some goods. Why? Because he wants to repair them. For the purpose of repair, he is importing some goods in India. Now, by far what we have studied, that wherever you repair, wherever you actually perform the service, that only becomes the place of supply. Now, the supplier, let us say Mr. Abhi, is from India. The recipient, let us say Nikki. The recipient, let us say Nikki, is from USA. So, of course, either of supply recipient outside India, therefore, section 13 will apply. Now, according to section 13, we say that if Nikki sends the goods to India and Abhi repairs the goods in India only, then where the service is actually performed in India. So, place of performance India, India should become place of supply. But here, government has given an exception saying that if Abhi imports these goods from Nikki, repairs them, and without putting these goods to use, if he just repairs and again re-exports the goods to Nikki, no, then we will take place of supply not as this provision but as general provision. And general provision simply says that if recipient's address is available, which is USA, USA will be the place of supply. We want to give export benefits to people who are importing goods, repairing them, and without putting them to use, again re-exporting such goods. So here we will say that if the service is supplied in respect of goods that are temporarily imported in India for repair treatment process and they are re-exported, most important, without putting such goods to use in India, then 13(2), the general provision will only apply. But let us say if Mr. Abhi after repairing uses these goods in India, if in any situation he uses the goods and then re-exports, then the provision will not apply, and then simply the place where the performance is carried out, which is India, will only become the place of supply. Correct. Then after that, services in relation to immovable property, again same to same provision wherever the property is actually located. Then be it admission or organization, because no RP URP criteria. So be it admission to event or be it organization of event, both the situation, wherever the event is actually held, that only becomes the place of supply, similar to section 12. Now particularly for three services, 13.3, 13.4 and 13.5. 13.3 was immovable property, 13.4 here. 13.3 was performance based service, 13.3 performance based service, 13.4 immovable property, and 13.5 admission organization of event. If it is held in multiple places and if one leg is in India, then the entire place of supply is going to be in India only. Let us say there is an organizer from India who is organizing concert for Justin Bieber. So a concert for Justin Bieber is being organized. Let us say he is doing 3 concerts together, a single contract he has entered with the organizer of India. So the supplier organizer is in India, the recipient Justin Bieber outside India. Now the 3 concerts, one is supposed to be held in India. Let us say in India also, one concert will be there in Ahmedabad, one concert will be there in Mumbai. Then one concert is going to be held in USA and one concert is going to be held in Canada. Total 4 concerts are going to be held, and this one person under a single contract is organizing this contract for organizing the concert for Justin Bieber. In this case, let us say to organize every single concert, the consideration agreed is, let us say, 40 crore. Now in that case we say, even if 2 concerts are outside India, but one leg of the service is in India, no, so the entire place of supply, entire 40 crore into 4, entire place of supply is going to be India only. So we say if any one leg of the service in section 13.3, 13.4, 13.5 is in the taxable territory, the entire place of supply is going to be in the taxable territory only. But ma'am, in this question, India understood But in India also 2 concerts are held, one in Ahmedabad and one in Mumbai. So should the place of supply be Gujarat or should it be Maharashtra? Now here we say we will have to apportion it among both the states. Let us take an example to understand this better. Mr. Rohit provides testing services in relation to bikes from Japan. Now, testing services are performance-based services. We have to test the bikes. So, for performance-based service, we say wherever the service is actually performed, that only becomes the place of supply. So, here we say the recipient is Japanese and the supplier is Indian. Therefore, section 13 will apply. Now, 5 total bikes are to be tested for a consideration of 6 lakh. 2 bikes in Mumbai, 1 bike in Gujarat and 2 bikes at USA. Even though 2 bikes are in USA, but 1 leg of the performance based service is in India, no. Therefore, for entire 6 lakh, the place of supply is going to be India only. But ma'am, in India also we have Mumbai and plus we have Gujarat. Now what to do? No problem. How many bikes in Mumbai? 2. How many bikes in Gujarat? 1. So we distribute 6 lakh in the ratio of 2:1. So for 4 lakh, place of supply will be Mumbai, and for 2 lakh, place of supply will be Gujarat. So essentially, if you see the bike that is tested at USA, for that also place of supply we have taken in India only, apportioning it in the ratio of whatever services are performed in India. Say yes or no makes sense to everyone. Say yes or no, everyone understood. Now, particularly for 3 types of services, under section 13.8, if either supplier or recipient is outside India, then particularly under section 13.8 for these 3 services, always the location of supplier is going to be the place of supply. Always the location of supplier only will become the place of supply. Now, what are these 3 services? First of all, if any banking company, financial institution, NBFC is providing services to its own account holders only, then only you come to section 13.8. If the services are provided to some other person, not your own account holder, some other person, then the general provision of 13.2 will apply. But if particularly, if either of them is outside India, which means section 13 will come, and then under section 13, if the bank, financial institution or NBFC is providing services to own account holders only, other than current account holder, again for current account, general provision will apply. Other than current account holder, let's say any NRE, NRO account, because one of them is outside India, then in that case, whatever is the location of supplier, that only becomes the place of supply. Service provided to any other person other than account holder, general provision will apply. Current account, also general provision will apply. Other than current account, if under section 13 services are provided to own account holders, then in that case, place of supply is always the location of supplier. Correct, ma'am. Then for intermediary services also, if either of supplier recipient is outside India, then wherever the intermediary supplier is located, that only becomes the place of supply for intermediary of goods, services or securities. And the last point is hiring means of transportation up to 1 month other than aircraft or vessel. If you are hiring aircraft or vessel, then the general provision of section 13.2 will apply. If you are hiring any other conveyance other than aircraft vessel, including a yacht is not a vessel. So, if you are hiring any other conveyance including a yacht, then in that case, if the hiring is for up to 1 month period, then 13.8 will apply and location of supplier will be the place of supply. But if the hire period is more than 1 month, then also the general provision of section 13.2 only applies. So, first of all, if I am hiring any aircraft or vessel, then also 13.2 will apply. If I am hiring for more than 1 month, then also 13.2 will apply. If particularly other than aircraft vessel, including a yacht, I am hiring up to a period of 1 month, then section 13.8 will apply, which means location of supplier is going to be my place of supply. Then for passenger transportation services, see, this is not a mistake. After section 13.8, we directly have section 13.10 only. 13.9 has been now omitted. So, section 13.10 simply talks about passenger transportation services. Again, same provision as section 12. Wherever the passenger is embarking for the journey, that only becomes the place of supply, because no RP, URP criteria. So, wherever you embark, that becomes your place of supply. Then if any services are supplied on board a conveyance, again, the first scheduled point of departure only becomes the place of supply. So, these last 3 points were very simple, similar to section 12 only. Then talking about section 13.2 OIDAR services. Now, see, understand. What is the definition of OIDAR services? That is given under section 2 clause 17. That OIDAR services simply means that the delivery of such services is done online. means information technology or over internet. It is used to mediate the delivery of such services, and without information technology it would be impossible for us to provide such services. So these services are provided electronically only, and it would be impossible without information technology to carry out such services like advertising on internet, cloud services, e-books, e-movies, e-music, Netflix, Amazon Prime, digital data storage, online games, other than online money games. See, online games are OIDAR, but particularly online money games are not OIDAR, because for online money gaming, now government has come up with a separate section, section 14A. So particularly for online money gaming, we have come up with a separate section, and therefore all online games are OIDAR, but particularly online money games are excluded from OIDAR. So the definition of OIDAR services is given under section 2, clause 17, explaining that OIDAR services are carried out over internet using information technology, and it is impossible to do such services without information technology, without internet. Now, and these are the examples of OIDAR. So definition is given under 217. Now, what are the provisions of OIDAR services? That is given under section 14, that if OIDAR services are provided from outside India to India, to a registered person, that person will pay under reverse charge mechanism. But if provided B2C, to non-taxable online recipients, if the OIDAR services are provided to NTOR, non-taxable online recipient people, then in that case, the OIDAR service provider, the Netflix, the Amazon Prime supplier himself will take registration in India, collect tax under forward charge mechanism, and then pay it to government. If any intermediary is involved, then that intermediary will be deemed supplier of OIDAR services. So any unregistered person receiving OIDAR services, or plus those government people taking registration only for TDS purpose, in these situations we will say that they are all non-taxable online recipients, and according to place of supply. See, three sections are involved here. Section 2 clause 17 gives us the definition of OIDAR. Provisions of OIDAR are contained under section 14, that here RCM will apply, here FCM will apply, etc. And section 13-12 particularly only talks about place of supply for OIDAR services provided outside India to India, that the recipient's location in India becomes the place of supply. So three sections involved here. Section 2 only gives the definition, section 14 gives the provisions, and section 13-12 only gives the place of supply for OIDAR service, which is the location of recipient in India when OIDAR services are provided from outside India to India. And similar is the provision for section 14A. Section 14A is for online money gaming. Online money gaming also we say that the supplier of online money gaming will take compulsory registration in India, collect tax under forward charge mechanism, and pay it to government. If the online money gaming from outside India to India person is not taking such registration, not collecting GST, not paying to government, we can block the person's game for public access. So we say, in case of failure, any information generated, transmitted, received, hosted on any computer resource shall be blocked for public access, notwithstanding anything given in the Information Technology Act 2000, section 69A. You will always have to take compulsory registration. Even if you are not present here, you will appoint a representative or an agent who will carry out all the tax related work. Okay, ma'am. Then these are some general clarification 1, 2, 3 that you can self-read on your own. Done. And here we complete the entire chapter of place of supply. I hope you understood, enjoyed, and remembered everything along with me. What all we completed? Quickly drop a heart, fire, bomb emoji in the comment section. Dil, agak, bomb. So we say, Section 10, place of supply for goods other than import export. Place of supply for goods import export is 11. Then place of supply for services, section 12, where supplier recipient both in India. Then place of supply for services, section 13, either of supplier recipient outside India. Then section 14, OIDAR, and section 14A, online money gaming. Say everyone clear, understood, done with the entire chapter of place of supply along with all clarifications, explanations and subsections. Chalo. Chalo, awaiting your responses in the comment section. Drop no dil agak bomb emojis. Yes, ma'am. Now moving on to next chapter for the day, which is payment of taxes. Very, very simple chapter, nothing much tough. There is only one point that you need to explicitly remember, which is the computation of interest. Other than that, entire chapter of payment of taxes is extremely simple and easy to remember. Now, two sections. Now again we have finished IGST Act. Only place of supply was IGST Act. Now for payment of taxes, TDS and TCS that we are going to cover. All the sections that we are going to take are of CGST Act only. So payment of taxes we cover section 49 and section 50. TDS is section 51 and TCS is section 52. Now see one by one. First of all, section 49 talks about payment of tax, interest, penalty, late fees, any other amount that is payable. So section 49. Section 49 explains us about three types of ledgers under GST. One is e-liability register, then we have e-credit ledger, and then we have e-cash ledger. Three types of ledgers under section 49: e-liability register, e-credit ledger and e-cash ledger. Now whatever liabilities arise on the common portal, they are all debited in the liability ledger. Ma'am, from where liabilities can arise? I am filing my returns, I am showing my sales, my liability will arise. Let us say officer gave me some demand order, anything like that, my liability can arise. So there are multiple sources from where my liability of, I am filing late returns, my liability of interest arises. So liabilities whatever arise are debited in the e-liability register. Then when I file my returns, I claim credits. So my credits that I am claiming are credited in my electronic credit ledger. I pay the challans and everything on the common portal, and whatever challan I deposit is reflected in my e-cash ledger, credited in my e-cash ledger. So from where the amounts come? Liability is debited in liability register. My credit that I am claiming and the cash that I am depositing shows as my credit balance in both the ledgers. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to debit my credit and cash ledger to set off the liability arising in the e-liability ledger. This is simply a double entry kind of a mechanism. So what I will do, I will credit the liabilities, and using what I can credit my liabilities, using my balance of e-credit and e-cash ledger. This is how the mechanism works. So first of all moving on to section 49. Payment of tax, interest, penalty, late fees and other amount whatever it is. Chalo. First of all, rule 85. No need to remember the rule numbers, no need to remember the form numbers. Simply you need to know the provisions and the concepts, that is all. So electronic liability register simply says that all amounts that are payable by the person, be it tax, interest, penalty, late fees, any other amount that is payable by the person. It can arise from returns, it can arise from an order by a proper officer, it can arise because you are filing your late returns, interest can accrue from time to time. So all of these places from where the liabilities are arising, they all will be debited. They all will be debited in my electronic liability register. Then I will use my cash ledger and credit ledger balance to credit the electronic liability register. But particularly for 5 types of payments, you cannot use your credit. Particularly for 5 types of payments, you will mandatorily have to use your cash ledger only. For TDS, TCS, RCM, composition person and any amount other than tax, any amount other than taxes, interest, penalty, fees and other amount. Not tax but interest, penalty, fees and other amount. Particularly for these 5 payments, you cannot use your credit ledger balance. You will always mandatorily, compulsorily have to use your cash ledger balance only. Chalo everyone in the comment section, write the names of these 5 things for which I particularly have to use my cash ledger. Quickly in the comment section guys. Ma'am, whatever payment are required to be made for TDS, TCS, reverse charge mechanism, composition person paying the taxes out of own pocket and any amount other than tax, which is interest, penalty, late fees and other amount. Particularly for these 5 things, always and always, I will have to use my cash ledger only, which effectively means that only for tax payment, I can use my credit ledger. So only for the payment of taxes we use credit and cash both. Otherwise than that, any payment, we always have to use the cash ledger compulsorily only. Got it, ma'am. There is one more way through which my liability register can be debited. So let us say some liabilities arising here, not debited, sorry, credited. Some liabilities arising here without using my cash ledger, without using my credit ledger. This liability can still be credited. How, ma'am? Let us say officer issued me an order asking for 10 crore demand. I went to appellate authority and I appealed against the order. I won the appeal and the appellate authority said that no, 10 crore are not payable, only 7 crore is payable. So without utilizing without utilizing my credit ledger or cash ledger, simply the 3 crore amount will be credited here. Why? Because of order of a tribunal, court or any other authority. So we say that if there is any demand arising in your register, but then you go appeal further and you win the appeal and this amount is reduced by the court tribunal, without touching your cash or credit ledger, this amount will be credited here and your liability will be reduced. If what happened, ma'am? You want to cry. There is any discrepancy. There is any discrepancy in the register. You are not sure about the amounts reflecting in the register. You can simply go and communicate your discrepancy in the form number GST PMT 04. So any communication of any discrepancy, you go to GST PMT 04. Ma'am, what is the order of discharge of the liability means? There are multiple liabilities arising in my liability register. Which liability to set off first? I have limited balance in my credit and cash ledger. What should I pay first? So we say first of all you pay your previous period dues. Of course, let us say if my January month payment is pending, February month return payment is pending and I am now in March. So first of all I will pay for Jan and Feb. So whatever tax dues are related to my previous period and they are pending, first I will pay that. Then any dues of current period, of course I will pay. And after that, if there is any demand including section 73, 74 demand order arising of due to anything, tax not paid, short paid, ITC wrongly taken, utilized, refund erroneously taken, for any of these situations, if department has issued me a notice, demand order, all those payments will be done at the end. So first of all, you pay your dues for previous period, then you pay your dues for current period, and then at the last you will pay any other demand order arising from the department. This is the order of discharge of liability in the register. This was all about electronic liability register. Then moving on to next ledger, which is electronic credit ledger. Now electronic credit ledger simply says that whenever you file your returns and you claim your credit, everything is credited in your electronic credit ledger. All the credits are credited in your electronic credit ledger. And then you start to set off your liabilities by using amount from here. By debiting your credit register, you will start utilizing your credits. Now understand, if in any situation mistakenly I pay excess credit, I utilized excess credit, I reversed excess credit, I paid excess credit, what I can simply do, I can go apply and get this amount recredited. If by mistake I utilize excess credit, I can go apply for refund and take the amount back in my credit ledger if I had mistakenly used more. Point number 1. Point number 2, whenever you make refund application, whenever you make application to claim refund from your credit ledger, what happens? Immediately, as soon as you file refund application, as soon as you file refund application, the amount is debited in your electronic credit ledger and then it comes into your bank account. But let us say when I made application, ARN was generated, this amount was debited, but later on my refund was rejected. Later on my refund application was rejected. Now what to do? In that case, the amount will again be recredited in your credit ledger. So when you make refund application, the amount is debited, and when let us say refund application is rejected, then in that case no problem, that amount is recredited in your electronic credit ledger. Last point says that let us say I took some refund from my credit ledger. My credit ledger balance was 100. I took a refund of 40 already in my bank account. Later on we got to know that this 40 was erroneous. This 40 actually was not eligible to me. Therefore, I gave this 40 back to government. I deposited this 40 in my cash ledger and paid it to government. Now in this case, whenever you have taken some wrong refund and you give it back to government from your cash ledger, then what happens? This amount is again recredited in your credit ledger. I'll give you an example. I had a balance of 100. I took refund of 40 in my bank account, which means today in my credit ledger I have 60, in my bank account I have 40, total I have 100. Earlier also I had 100, it is match and over. Now what happened? I have 60 here as opening balance. Bank account I have 40, but I got to know that this refund was erroneous. So I deposited 40 in my cash ledger and gave it to government. So now I don't have this 40. I have given this 40 to government, but now I am left with only 60 in my credit ledger balance. The refund that I had taken was ineligible. No, credit was not ineligible. Refund of 40 was ineligible. I gave it back to government. Credit was eligible only. So therefore now we say to government that see, I took refund, I gave the refund back to you. Now you please recredit this 40 in my credit ledger because I have returned this amount to you. So now we say that if you take refund, give that refund back to government, then again government will recredit this amount in your electronic credit ledger. Done, understood. Then moving on to electronic cash ledger, the last type of ledger. Now electronic cash ledger simply says that whenever you pay any challan, and you deposit the amount, it is all credited in your electronic cash ledger. And then you can use the cash ledger to make all kinds of payments, be it in tax, interest, penalty, late fees, TDS, TCS, whatever you want to pay, you can use your cash ledger and pay such amounts. Now ma'am, how do we deposit amount in the cash ledger? Via challans. How to generate challan? Challans are always generated electronically on common portal only. You cannot generate a manual challan under GST. Always, 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 there is mandatorily required for you to generate a challan electronically on the common portal. There is no provision of manual challan and hence no chance of manipulation. Once you generate a challan, it remains valid for 15 days, and within 15 days, anytime you can use the challan and make payment against it in your cash ledger. Ma'am, what are the modes of deposit of the payment? You can use internet banking, credit, debit card, IMPS, UPI, NEFT, RTGS, whatever you want to use for whatever amount you want to pay. But particularly, if you want to walk into the bank, not using NEFT, not RTGS, not internet banking, you want to walk into the bank and give cash over the counter. If I want to go and give the cash over the counter to my banker, or I want to give check to my banker, or I want to give demand draft to my banker, means I am not doing online transaction. I am not doing online NEFT, RTGS, IMPS, UPI transaction, credit debit card transaction. I want to go and give the amount over the counter physically to my banker. Then we have a limitation saying that per period per challan only up to 10,000 you can go and give over the counter. Let us say my liability for September month was 13,000. I made two challans, one for 7,000 and one for 4,000. Can I go and give this amount over the counter? Tell me chalo in the comment section. We are saying that it is for a particular tax period only. I made two challan less than 10,000. Can I go and give this amount over the counter? Tell me everyone. The answer is no, ma'am. There are two conditions and both have to be seen cumulatively only. Condition number 1, the amount of challan should be up to 10,000 only. And condition number 2, the amount of challan should be up to 10,000 only. And condition number 2, for entire period also, the amount should be up to 10,000 only. You cannot break the amount and make small challans of less than 10,000. Done, ma'am. Understood. But particularly for these government department or proper officers who have recovered some outstanding dues or who have collected some amount, they can go and deposit any amount over the counter in the bank. Sorry. Sorry. So the restriction of 10,000, is not applicable to government or the proper officers. But for you and me, you and I cannot go to bank and deposit over the counter more than 10,000 for a particular tax period. Okay. Once you successfully generate a challan, see, understand. In short, I will explain you all these small provisions. Once you successfully generate a challan, a common portal identification number is generated. CPIN, common portal identification number is generated, which is of 14 digits. Now, this is just when you generate the challan. When you go to bank and make payment, a 4-digit code is added to it. See. Once when I generate the challan, the CPIN, common portal identification number, is generated. Now, because the challan remains valid for 14 days, it is very clear and simple that the CPIN number also remains valid for 15 days only. Now, when I make the payment, a 4-digit bank code is added. And finally, after making the payment, I come at an 18-digit number. I arrive at an 18-digit number, which is known as challan identification number. So, we say when we add 4 digits of bank code to the 14 digits of CPIN, we arrive at the challan identification number, which is of 18 digits. Got it? Let us say amount got debited from my bank account. It is not showing in the credit ledger or in the cash ledger. There is any problem here. What I can simply do is, on the basis of RBI's e-scroll. Now see, if amount is debited from my bank account, but it is not reflecting on the portal, RBI also has a data of all the transactions being carried out. So from the e-scroll of Reserve Bank of India, if my challan details are matching, then also I can update manually my electronic cash ledger. Otherwise, if at all there is any other discrepancy, then to always we have GST PMT 04. We can go and cry for any discrepancy. But particularly, let us say, particularly we are saying that if the bank fails to communicate the SIN number to you, what to do? You can simply update your cash ledger on the basis of e-scroll of Reserve Bank of India. If your GST PMT 06 means your challan details matches exactly with the e-scroll details of the RBI. A bank reference number is given to every transaction carried out by the bank, every challan paid through the bank. Then we say, just give me a second. Okay, sorry. Sure. Then we say every bank on Pan India basis, every bank which is authorized to collect GST payments on Pan India basis nominates its one branch to be known as the EFPB, Electronic Focal Point Branch. EFPB, Electronic Focal Point Branch. For every bank, there is one particular branch which will be EFPB for GST purposes. Now the government goes to bank and opens accounts on this branch. So the government will also have the CGST, SGST, IGST, tax, interest, penalty, all kinds of accounts. When we pay the amount, we deposit the amount, it goes to the bank account of the government. So the government opens its accounts in the EFPB branch of every particular branch which is authorized to collect GST payments. Now understand, let us say, in my cash ledger, we have tax, interest, penalty, late fees, other amount. We have CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST cess. I wanted to deposit the amount in tax of CGST. But mistakenly, I made wrong challan, which is possible because there is a single common challan in GST for any payment that you made, that you want to make. There is a single common challan on the portal. It is like this tabular format. So we have tax, interest, penalty, we have all the taxes, and you can simply write the amount in the particular column that you want to deposit, and challan will be generated and you can make payment against this challan. So I wanted to pay tax of CGST, but I mistakenly paid, let us say, tax of IGST. Possible. Now in this case, can I, without taking refund and again depositing the amount back in my cash ledger, can I simply transfer my balances? See, what are the major heads? CGST, SGST, IGST, UTGST says these are the major head. What are the minor heads? Tax, interest, penalty, late fees, other amounts. So we have major heads and we have minor heads. Now in this case, if I want to transfer amount of my cash ledger, this is all for cash ledger, not for credit ledger. So particularly in my cash ledger, if I want to transfer any balance in my cash ledger from one major minor head to another major minor head, can I do so? The answer is yes, using GST PMT 09. Using GST PMT 09, you can transfer your balance from any major minor head of cash ledger, not credit ledger, to any other major minor head of the cash ledger. Also, if you want to transfer this amount, only CGST and IGST. SGST not allowed because different state SGST are different. If you want to transfer your cash ledger again, not credit ledger, if you want to transfer your cash ledger balance of CGST, IGST from one distinct person to another distinct person, that is also possible again by filing GST PMT 09 only. But there's a condition that no outstanding liability of yours should be there. First, you settle, fulfill, finish off all your existing liabilities, and after that, you can transfer the amount to your distinct person from CGST and IGST of electronic cash ledger. Again, using same form only, which is GST PMT 09. But it will not be allowed if your own unpaid liabilities are still outstanding. Got it, ma'am? Again, whenever you go and make any application for refund to be taken from cash ledger, as soon as you apply for refund, be it credit ledger, be it cash ledger, they are debited. And later on, if the refund is rejected, then these ledgers are again recredited. Done, finish, over. Here we complete entire section 49, which is payment of tax, interest, penalty, late fees, other amount, in which we study three types of ledgers: electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, and electronic liability register. Got it, ma'am. Now moving on to section 50. We have arrived at the half century of GST. Section 50, half century of GST. We have started developing interest. We have started developing interest, section 50, half century. So interest under section 50, we are going to study in GST. Now see here, section 50 interest simply says that if you are making any late payment or short payment under GST, if you are making any late payment of your liabilities, then also interest at the rate of 18% per annum is going to apply. If you wrongly avail and utilize ITC, then also interest at the rate of 18% per annum is only going to apply. You understand one thing, only availing wrong ITC will not attract interest. Interest will always start when you utilize wrong ITC. Only availing wrong ITC will not attract interest when you utilize your wrong ITC. Then from the date of utilization till the date of reversal. From the date of utilization till the date of reversal, we say interest at the rate of 18% per annum is going to be applicable. Now understand particularly here. See. So interest on delayed payment 18% per annum. ITC wrongly availed utilized again 18% per annum. Direct it was 24% per annum, but currently via notification government has made it 18% only. And there is no interest on wrongly availed credit which is not utilized. Interest will only and only arise when the credit is availed as well as utilized. Then in that case, from the date of utilization till the date of reversal, interest at the rate of 18% under section 50 is going to apply. Now how to calculate the interest? Two things we have to see. Let us say my September month return. My September month return due date was 20 October. 1000 rupees were outward payable. I had a credit of 200 and I effectively paid only 800 net amount from my cash ledger. I utilized 200 from my credit ledger. But I filed my return. I filed my return, let us say, on 29 October. I filed my return on 29 October. Now in this case, for how many days interest will accrue, tell me? The due date to file September month return. In case of all these return self-assessed liabilities, my due date to file my September month return was 20 October. But I filed my return on 29 October. So ma'am, we know that at the rate of 18% per annum for 9 days, interest is going to apply. My question is, on what amount should the interest apply? 1000, which is the entire payable, or 800 that I paid from my cash ledger, or any other amount if you think so. For 9 days, because there is a period of delay of 9 days from 20 October to 29 October, understood. 18% because rate already given in the section. But now, should the amount, should the interest apply on the entire gross amount to be paid or on the net amount that is paid from the cash ledger? The correct answer is net amount, which is 800 only. Interest is going to apply. So always we say, when the supply is made during a tax period declared in the return after due date, then in that case always the amount that is debited from the cash ledger, the net amount, on this amount only interest is going to apply after due date till the date of actual payment. So on 800, 18% for 9 days interest we are going to pay. Got it, ma'am? Understood. Any other case it is, let us say, some demand etc. you have received, then on entire whatever gross amount you are required to pay, you will pay interest on the same. Then we say for ITC wrongly availed and utilized, interest should be calculated from the date of utilization till the date of reversal. Let us take an example. So let us say March month return. March month return I filed on 19th April. On this date, my ITC ledger balance already was 100. This was correct, okay, good, perfect opening balance. Then I availed 40 rupees new credit which was ineligible. This was actually credit of food which is blocked under GST, but I availed this ineligible credit. Now my total balance is 140. Let us say there was no sale in the month of March, April, May, June, anything. Then in the month of July, I filed my July month return on, let us say, 22nd August. My July month return I filed on 22nd August, where I made a sale, and out of 140 I utilized 115. My outward payable was 115. So now I have a 25 balance carry forward here. Then in the month of November I realized that, oh shit, I had taken 40 rupees ineligible credit. Let me quickly reverse. So November month return that I filed on 20 December. I reversed my 40 ineligible credit. Now my question to you is, 40 entire ineligible credit I have to reverse, no doubt about it. But interest on what amount for what period I am going to pay? Ma'am, interest will be applicable at the rate of 18% only. Now there are two questions. On what amount and for what period I have to pay 18% per annum interest on this wrongly availed and utilized ITC? Tell me quickly everyone in the comment section. Now see ma'am, first of all, wrongly availed credit was 40. That was not utilized only till the month of July. In July month, we utilized the credit. Now, for the month when you are utilizing the credit, even if you are filing your return late, no, we say that in the month of utilization, your interest always is going to start from the actual date of return or the due date of return, whichever is earlier. So, July month return due date ideally was 20 August. July month return I should have filed on 20 August only, but I filed on 22nd August. So actual date or due date, whichever is earlier, comes as 20 August only. So my interest is going to start from 20 August only when I utilized the amount. When did I reverse this amount? I reversed it on 20 December. So from 20 August till 20 December, interest is going to apply. Now August, there are total 31 days. 31 minus 20 August, then September, October, November and 20 December. So 11, 31 minus 20 is 11. 11 plus 30. So we say 11 plus 30 plus 31 plus 30 plus 20. For 122 days, interest is going to apply. On what amount is the question? Ma'am, amount we will always think that first we will always use the eligible credit. So I had opening balance of 100 that was eligible. So whenever I utilize this 1150, no, my first assumption always will be that first I utilized my eligible credit only. So only 15 over and above the 100. Let us say I had taken 40 ineligible credit till my balance is above 40. I will always assume that there is no utilization because I am utilizing my correct ITC only. But this 40 that I had taken incorrectly, this when my balance has fallen down to 25, now I know 40 minus 25, 15 I have utilized. So when your balance falls below, the ineligible credit, no, that time for what amount it is falling below. So 15 is, it is falling below, no. So 15 is the utilization here. So 15 into 18% into 122 upon 365 is going to be my interest amount. Say everyone understood, yes or no? So we say ITC wrongly availed shall be construed to be utilized only when your balance in credit ledger is falling below the amount of ITC wrongly availed. Till the amount is above the wrongly availed ITC, we never assume it to be utilized. We always keep assuming that we will utilize the correct ITC first only. Got it, ma'am. Date of utilization always will be due date of return or actual date of return, whichever is earlier. Understand? The date when you are availing the ITC is irrelevant. The date when you are reversing the actual date, the day on which you actually reverse, that only date you will take. But for this month in which you are utilizing the ITC, no, you will take the actual date of return or the due date of return, whichever is earlier, and your interest will start in the month of utilization. Got it, everyone? Understood? Correct, ma'am. All other cases, normally whenever your credit ledger balance falls below the wrongly availed ITC, your interest will start to apply at the rate of 18%. One last clarification for this chapter and it is done. Let us say I have IGST, CGST, SGST balance 100, 40 and 80. So my total balance here is 100 plus 40 plus 80, 220. This is all correct eligible ITC. I took some wrong ITC, wrongly availed ITC. I took 50 in IGST. So now I have a total balance of 270. Now what happened? In some next period, I utilized my ITC. Now my IGST balance is 0. My CGST balance is 20 and my SGST balance is, let us say, 50. So my total balance here is 70. Tell me, this 50 that I had ineligibly taken in IGST, is it utilized? Should I start my interest because IGST balance is 0, less than 50 only? Or should I not start my interest because my total GST credit balance is 70, which is more than 50? So whenever we consider utilization for IGST, should we consider the utilization for IGST only particularly in that head or taken together total of all the heads? The answer here is you should take total of all the heads. Till my total credit remains above 50, no, till my total credit remains above 50, I will say interest will not start to apply. Why, ma'am? Because IGST can be used to pay all the taxes and all the taxes can be used to pay IGST. We have studied the manner of utilization. Always IGST will be exhausted first. No, in all situations, always IGST will get exhausted. Only then we will move on to C and S. So this type of question cannot arise for C and S GST because C and S cannot be used for each other. And if in any situation the balance of CGST is gone, automatically the balance of IGST is gone first only, because I you always have to utilize first. So this question does not arise for C and SGST. This question particularly only arises for IGST. So we say, whenever we wrongly avail some ITC, whenever we wrongly avail some ITC in the IGST head, no, in that case you have to take total of C, S and I and then check whether it is above the wrongly availed ITC. If yes, then no interest will apply, and if no, then interest will start to apply to the manner or up to the extent of utilization. But see, GST compensation says it cannot be used for ICS, ICS cannot be used for GST compensation cess, and therefore we say that we do not take the total there. We do not take the total there. Compensation cess cannot be utilized for any other payment, and therefore its balance should not be taken into account while calculating the total credit. We only take into account CSI and UTGST credit to take the total ITC balance. For C and S, this question will not arise. Why? Because always IGST will be exhausted. Only then we go to C and SGST, and C and SGST cannot be utilized for each other. Therefore, individual balance checking can work there. Got it, everyone? Yes or no? So here we complete entire place of supply. Then section 49, payment of taxes, and section 50, interest under GST.